and welcome to Madeleine at the Movies, the Golden Days film review segment, designed to make you feel a little more informed when it comes to choosing what to watch next. I'm Madeleine Swain. Sometimes a film comes along that sounds really intriguing, and from the pre-publicity and description, you can't quite work out what to expect. And then you see the film, and in some ways you're none the wiser. Mother Mary is perhaps such a film. The premise is that Anne Hathaway is Mother Mary, an eccentric globe-conquering pop star, and Michaela Coel is Sam, her erstwhile friend, stylist and clothes designer. On the eve of a big comeback performance, the clearly unstable Mother Mary must revisit her old associate and rebuild the relationship so that she'll make her the one dress she needs for the show. The fly in the ointment is that Sam is now a successful designer in her own right, with her own company, a team of acolytes, more work than she can handle, and is evidently holding on to an enormous grudge. And Mary wants the dress now. And considering how busy and important Sam is, and the rift between the pair being so significant, it's not clear if they were simply friends or perhaps more intimately connected. You might think that Sam would just say, "No thanks," and shut the door. But instead, she wants to talk. And talk she does. A lot. And during all the chat, heavy with subtext and barely repressed emotion, the two women discover that they've been sharing the same dream or out-of-body experience in which they're plagued by a red ghostly figure that looks for all the world like somebody's Met Gala train got out of control and started behaving malevolently. It's obviously all very symbolic and psychological, but you may also find it less engaging than the filmmaker perhaps hoped for. Said filmmaker is David Lowery, who also made The Green Knight, which was released to streamers during COVID and has many admirers, but is also a film perhaps so imbued with symbolism and the enigmatic that it can lose some viewers along the way. What it also has in common with Mother Mary are some impressive visuals and image making, though I do have issues with the way Michaela Coel is photographed. In 1997, the noted film scholar Richard Dyer wrote a book called White about how people of colour have been so shortchanged over the last century when it comes to cinematography. There seems to be this idea that whiteness is the default and the norm, and that shooting anyone who doesn't have fair skin is a problem to be solved, requiring the DOP to step out of their comfort zone and do something different. Dyer contended that traditionally many filmmakers haven't even tried, and for decades, actors of colour have been treated really unfairly by lighting camera people. It's a great book and I really recommend it. In Mother Mary, I don't think that's exactly what's happening, but Coel has very specific and quite unusual features, large wide eyes and a delicately shaped head. And the joint directors of photography, Andrew Droz-Palermo and Rena Yang, lean into this to really emphasise her features in a way that make her look quite alarming, if not deranged at times. It's quite mesmerising. Coel, still best known for the Emmy-winning series I May Destroy You, she created and starred in, is a compelling screen presence, but it's also somewhat discomforting. Meanwhile, Anne Hathaway is impressive in a role that is an atypical one for her. We knew she could carry a tune thanks to her Oscar-winning work in Les Miserables, but this is a very different sort of part, clearly intended to be reminiscent of a pop star like Taylor Swift, but one a few years into the future when she's had an existential crisis or two and is trying to regain her footing after a terrible accident. The songs were written by contemporary pop stars like Charli XCX and FKA Twigs, and they're pretty well done, if that's your type of music. Overall, though, I can't say I loved Mother Mary, although I appreciated its originality and the production design. Mother Mary is rated MA, runs for 110 minutes and is screening in selected cinemas now. And now to a couple of films that I'm going to talk about together because they both feel like they were made with a really limited budget, but with quite different results. The first is This Bloody Country, a modest drama, western, written and directed by Craig Packard, set in Utah in the 1860s, and telling a tale of a Mormon group leaving Salt Lake City to establish a new outpost for their church, but having to travel through wild territory with murderous outlaws in it to do it. While the production values are minimal, and as so often is the case with period films today, the women appear much too modern, while Larry Cedar as Josiah Ballard looks absolutely right, there is still an intriguing little story here about the patriarchy and what can happen when male family heads believe themselves to be invincible, all-knowing and masters of their own universe. And what can happen when women born into a particularly strict cultural or religious landscape begin to question the rules and their own potential. This Bloody Country runs for 102 minutes and I believe will have an MA rating. It premiered in Australia at the Gold Coast Film Festival last month and will be available to rent or buy on Prime in Australia from Thursday the 21st of May. Also clearly made on the smell of an oily rag, as so many local films are unfortunately, is The Run, a dystopian drama with shades of Children of Men about a world where fertility has just about disappeared altogether and where a gritty loner, forced into smuggling by bad guys holding his ailing wife hostage, comes into contact with a young runaway woman and her baby. Written and directed by Stephen de Villiers, the film has a solid enough idea, but is rather let down by the scripting, logical plot holes — it could probably have used a couple more drafts — and some of the acting. Now, I feel that you can't really blame the cast for this. Sadly, our industry in Australia gives second-tier performers so little opportunity to really become experienced as screen actors that it's understandable when the results are a little less than polished. What I do give the film a lot of credit for, however, is that most of the time they're using a real baby. So often, low-budget films get let down by a bundle of rags being tossed around like a rag doll. But here, it's the real McCoy, and it certainly helps us connect to the characters and their plight. The run runs for 117 minutes, is yet to be rated, and opened in selected cinemas for a short run on the 14th of May, but will be available to rent or buy on a bunch of streaming platforms, including Apple, Foxtel, and YouTube, from the 17th of June. And a quick note to say that after over 700 episodes of Madeleine at the Movies, we now finally have a website where you can catch the reviews in either spoken or written form in case you missed them or wanted to refer back. It's easy to find at matm.com.au. Yeah, madeleineatthemovies.com.au. See you there. And that's all from me for this time. Madeleine at the Movies was produced and edited by Blair Purvis. Stay safe and well, and thanks for listening.